Welcome to the Finjan Show. I'm your host, Faris Alami. Thank you for being here with us. Today, I'm honored to have another guest, Jonathan, who's going to tell you a little bit about his entrepreneurial journey and what he does. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
It's really an honor to have you. I'm so excited, actually. This is going to be a fun show.
It's good to be here with you, Faris. Thanks for inviting me.
No, thank you. So, it would be nice maybe for the audience, those who don't know you. Who's Jonathan? What do you do?
Well, I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs globally, making it possible for anyone, anywhere, to be able to realize their dream as an entrepreneur. Who am I? I was born in England. I've always had entrepreneurial blood in me. I've been trained in different environments as an economist, been involved in startups, but my true passion has been in helping fuel the enabling environment and more people to be able to realize their dream of forming a team, figuring out a new way of doing something, testing an idea, and with any luck, becoming an entrepreneur or working with one.
Well, you yourself is one, obviously, and you've had many startups. You're being humble here to got you here. So a little bit about Gen. Maybe you could tell everyone what how to get involved and what Gen is.
Absolutely. So the Global Entrepreneurship Network is it's a nonprofit organization based in the United States, but its scope and prospects are truly global in in our mission. We operate in 200 countries, and we have affiliates in just over 100 countries. And we run about 14 work streams of activities from the global basis. But what does all that mean? Well, what we're really about is getting accelerated dramatically in this post-pandemic world, where as a result of people becoming more comfortable with technology, looking at a camera, people are automatically becoming more global. Like my mother is comfortable at 84, talking to her doctor on her laptop.
No choice, right?
No choice, exactly. But I think the significance of this has always been something that we've been about, which is basically national boundaries of forest to innovation, and the notion that you can start and scale a company. Silicon Valley doesn't have a monopoly on this concept, and if we're really going to level the playing field in terms of opportunity around the world, we have to empower and guide and inspire people from other countries who didn't necessarily see themselves. They didn't see themselves either because they're from a small economy, or they're from a less developed economy, or because their ecosystem isn't so mature. So what we're really doing at Gen is we're trying to level the playing field, and we're capitalizing on trends for doing this globally, and we're greatly assisted actually by the outcomes of this pandemic, which, despite the fact that over the last few years we've been tackling some challenges around nationalism, populism, and some sort of pushback to globalization, we're seeing, as a result of, I think, an awakening and a global consciousness around climate change. We're seeing the fact that everybody has a common enemy around COVID-19. We're seeing some ways that we could actually do things as a result of technology more across borders and solving problems. And I think we're in for a very, very exciting era.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. That's very, very nice to hear. And I'm curious, why did you start it back, in history on that? Why did you do it? You could have done all kinds of stuff, knowing your background.
Absolutely. I mean, there were a few factors that were always present. I've always been involved in the world of civic engagement, and there's always been an interest in regional economic development. And but when I looked at entrepreneurs, I felt like there was a misunderstanding of who they were. There was a sense that this was something that was taught in a business school, which is clearly not true. Business schools don't teach entrepreneurship; they teach people management of existing incumbent large companies, which is a very important thing. They don't really teach entrepreneurship, but some of them now do. and we're understanding this process of new firm formation is indeed something that I think a lot of universities have got a lot more involved in. But generally speaking, why we did this was we felt like it was vital that we were able to create an environment where we understood how to be able to teach this. And so what we've really done at Gen is we've taken a different approach to this, one that's very bottom up, one where you've got a lot of peers teaching peers, and one where you teach people that actually are not really starting a company at the beginning. You're conducting an experiment, you're testing an idea, and you're fueling that data back into the process. So, I mean, what's really got me, we started it mostly because we, as I say, first wanted to tell the rest of the world that this is something that you can do equally well as Silicon Valley. In fact, funny enough, I think that's one thing that the pandemic will do. We'll look back on and say, during this period of time, there were regions as well as industries, as well as individuals and companies who all had tailwinds, who many of which were encountering headwinds, and vice versa. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurial communities that will thrive as a result of this because the needs will become more apparent and because the co-creation of companies is something that's more commonly done now across borders.
Well, as you know, starting this, Jen and many others that you've done, there are always, I say, ups and downs, and sometimes it's the same sentence, sometimes it's the same thing that you got that feeling up about is actually the same moment you're feeling down. I'm curious, if you could give us one of your downs where you felt like the world is ending, this is not going to happen, it's going to crush. Just maybe one of those moments. And I know there are probably many.
Yeah, sure. No, there are many of those moments. I mean, I think I think at the beginning of building Gen, probably the biggest down was when we would meet huge resistance from very powerful forces in countries where there was a clear interest in protecting monopolies. There was a clear interest in not allowing individual voices to become too loud or too influential. And I think it was very hard for us at the beginning because we did meet a lot of opposition and we had a lot of challenges in trying to spread the entrepreneurial thing. So for me personally, I think that was really, really hard. Because obviously I've visited more than half of the countries that we're working in, sometimes there was a huge amount of resistance to that. And also in any kind of nonprofit work like this, that really matters if you're trying to actually generate resources and execute those things. But there's always been more ups than downs.
Okay.
And one of the reasons for that is that entrepreneurs are just such amazing people. This generation. I mean, during Global Entrepreneurship Week in 2021, we're really highlighting this movie General Magic, and it talks a lot about this, draining of it when you're creating something new. And we definitely feel that from time to time with what we do, but nothing to the level of what General Magic felt. I mean, this is a team of people that ultimately, put their heart and soul in 24 hours a day for years into. There's got to be a way to come up with the DNA of an iPhone, and ultimately, gave so much personally in order to see that birth of that new, the birth of the new. And so I think, but it's really a story of failure. So one of the things I really hope people will do is take a look at that film. It's actually viewable, through a web link, but it's General Magic because it's a film that helps understand some of those biggest downs. And I think we experienced some of those along the way. But I have to say, generally speaking, there are so many things that we've been blessed with that have kept those much less painful than some of the pains that founding true disruptive ventures can be. I'll give you a couple of examples. I would say the first is the American Coffee Foundation in Kansas City. They have a very mature and sophisticated view to grant making. They don't call you up every week saying, "What are you doing this for?" Or they don't micromanage how much that money is going to go on coffee and how much is it going to go on the meeting. They said they want to know whether you're inspired by your vision, and they want to know whether or not you're going to have impact and an outcome. They're not asking you constantly to say, well, this is a contract, deliver this, and this. And so they've been a long-term supporter of this work, and that long-term vision of the leadership of that foundation, quite frankly, has been a gift and a blessing, and so extraordinary. The other thing at the end of the day is just characteristics of this generation of builders. I mean, the first question they always ask is, how can I help? And sometimes they have nothing, and they have no time or money. They're always asking that question, what can I do? And it's remarkably generous. I was the first startup I was involved with is called Microchips. It was in the UK. It was 1981. And, it was really cutthroat.
Yeah.
It was like, everyone.
Help me or you're out.
That's right. I'm not going to ask, how can I help somebody else? I mean, this is all about how can I make some money? It's the 80s culture. And the wonderful thing about this generation is that even if it's someone who's a competitor, if someone in the village succeeds, everybody stands up and celebrates and claps and hugs them. And that's the thing that really keeps the long-term spirit of the business. I mean, it's human progress. As someone who resides in the United States, it's the American pioneering spirit. It is what the country was built. The idea of coming with nothing is very little, and we can build a society. And I think this culture of this very generous and collaborative group of innovators around the world. And it's very exciting to work with people who have this as a common denominator across all these countries. So you look in the newspaper, you see all our geopolitical disputes about this, that, and the other. We're a strong leader, and we got all these different political systems. But at the end of the day, the entrepreneurs sort of look at the big picture. They have a common denominator, and I think that's all of those things vastly outweigh any of the hardships along the way of what we've been doing.
Well, back to the U.S. I want to make sure I highlight something which is important, especially these days, there was an impression that there was nothing. That the Indians were here and doing all kinds of stuff. But the concept of let's go build something that really exists, it's a powerful concept. It's a powerful message to make sure that the world listening to that as well. Fantastic. John, we can keep you for all day, clearly, on all these messages. So you gave me one of your lows and low points, and which is being rejected for wanting to start collaboration for starting entrepreneurs. You gave me one of your wins, which is Kaufman Foundation said you have an awesome opportunity to do this globally and do more of it. What would be something that you could go back now and tell Jonathan, the young one who's starting a business today, or maybe you back then? And I know it's really hard because sometimes the information sharing in itself, you are today the different person you were 20 years ago. But what would that be if you were to tell someone starting today, or tell Jonathan, the young one, what should we do?
Yeah, I think the first thing is make sure what we're doing is something that really matters. Because in order to succeed, you are going to have with some of yourself.
A piece of you won't go into it.
A piece of you is going to go into that. You're going to make a sacrifice. It'll either be how much time you're spending with your family, or it'll be a financial sacrifice. It'll be a time sacrifice, or it means you won't experience this, that, and the other. So make sure what you're doing, you feel like at the end of the day, it's not just that you've got passion and purpose, it's the fact that you have decided that this is something that is actually makes a difference. And I think that's the other, and frankly, I learned that from these entrepreneurs is that there's very few people who turn around now and say, I'm only going to do this for business. And I saw those guys over there, and this company, and that company, and that company, and they all became rich, and I almost never did that. It's like, they want to do well, but they don't want to do well at the expense of this. What would I tell them? I would tell people, share, be collaborative. Remember that at the end of the day, this is not something comparing social significance. It's something that represents the possibility of human endeavor. And so go after it like that. Make sure it's something that is meaningful and makes a difference. Because there are significant problems in the world that need addressing. You can be part of that solution. Even if it's a small idea in your community,
Just coffee shop is important.
Coffee shop, I think that's powerful purpose in life.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, you clearly unfold any of these things that you mentioned today for hours. Maybe I should do that another time. But I appreciate you taking the time. I love the message of find ways and share some information that's really powerful. And I'm sure that the audience can relate. So keep going. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, my name is Faris Alami. I'm the host of Finjan Show. Thanks for being here. Until next show. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great.